Alright, there's a level of disappointment that comes over to see former teams that used to have a big reference over sports history turn into absolute mediocrity and then over in the bottom tier fighting for a lottery pick. And knowing the Detroit Pistons, all the Pistons fans know was complete misery over the past 15 years since winning the 2004 NBA title and wasting all their future picks that could have been NBA legends. Like, of course, NBA Hall of Famer Darko Milicic, and just struggling offensively, not getting any future picks, trading for aging Allen Iverson, and now probably one of the worst basketball teams to ever exist that we've seen since the early 2010s Charlotte Bobcats. The Detroit Pistons now reign with the worst league record, only behind the San Antonio Spurs that are 4-23, that at least picked up some recognizable wins against the Los Angeles Lakers and Phoenix Suns. It's been since October 28th since the Detroit Pistons last won a freaking basketball game. Yeah, they've only won 2 basketball games over the first 28 games into the season, and that was a 2-game winning streak. That was their first and only winning streak to start the game. They've been winless over the past 2 months. It's that bad. We thought with a new regime, with a new coaching staff, that they'd finally head over in the right direction after, getting rid of former Toronto Raptors coach Dwayne Casey and ending up 17-65. And hell, they'll probably be as worse as when they had D'Antoni. Because even though they were in purgatory, at least they were competitive. When they wasted contracts, wasted Boban Marjanovic, Tobias Harris, it only kept Andre Drummond and Reggie Jackson to make it a big one with Blake Griffin in his prime, and those were the best years the Pistons had, making only 2 postseason appearances with Blake Griffin until he got shafted over to play with Brooklyn. And now we don't even know what the direction they'll be on, because they're currently with the worst losing streak in the NBA. The most undisciplined defensive rating in the NBA. The worst on-ball defensive unit in the NBA. They rank so low in offensive rebounding percentage. It's not even funny. You have to go back to the 70s, where all you have to do is just break the shot and let the other team score. They are so bad. It should be illegal. Because I've seen trash teams lose like 8 straight. There's no sense of pride in this Pistons team even losing to the Utah Jazz, that I bet my bottom dollar a casual fan could barely even give me one player. That you please gotta name one player other than Jordan Clarkson, Walker Kessler, Colin Sexton, and Lauri Markkanen. The rest is an absolute afterthought. I'm not saying there's no good players all because you're a smaller market unnoticed team. But thanks to, barely any accessibility to actually watch these teams other than the play-in tournament, they're going to barely be publicly accessed on global television, even though, there's 82 games in the NBA season? So unless you're a bigger market team, or a contending team like the Denver Nuggets, you're barely going to be, publicized on TV. And now, you got Cade Cunningham dropping an unnecessary 20 points. You got guys that are 6'8" centers out of Isaiah Stewart. That has to be the most highest percentage shooter on the freaking team. James Wiseman gets minutes, apparently, even knowing that the Warriors couldn't even fix him. You got a privileged bitch for the streets, and all she can do is one thing, and it's not very good anyway, but you still give her an opportunity because you think there's something in her. Now that's a harsh analogy and unnecessary, but you still get the point. She ain't good. And then you got damaged goods like Marvin Bagley. that can only do well if somebody's dishing him over the ball. A former first overall lottery pick, and he comes around playing second fiddle, that can't create off the ball, can't sit over the screen, and I saw them got bitched. This team is so bad. They can make guys that you barely see recognize drop career highs. Kelly Olynyk, I just saw mop the floor with him, getting like probably a career high 27 points, having the highest efficiency from behind the arc. It got so bad that Thanasis Antetokounmpo, the brother of Giannis Antetokounmpo, league MVP, get minutes, like legitimate NBA minutes. He rotated around the second quarter, not the second half, not the second minute of the final minutes of the fourth quarter. They got mollywop. They have the highest allowed point percentage in the NBA. The only old person that they have on that team is Bojan Bogdanovic. And people thought that the Rockets had it worse last season when they were posting the worst record in the NBA. Until Ime Udoka came in. And now they're the 8th seed fighting for a playoff spot, being one of the more high percentage competitive teams after acquiring Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet. And they had even a better record still than the Detroit Pistons with Steven Silas. And Silas could not make it work. Now, I don't know what's going to be the direction for the Pistons, because usually when you can't shoot and steal, you find a better educational purpose in your life. Now, that was I'm joking, but other than that, I don't know what's going to be the option here, because you got a coach that gets a team like the Phoenix Suns to the finals not that long ago after losing to the Milwaukee Bucks. You have barely any defensive discipline on a young team, and usually young teams would be more highly off the press. They wouldn't be off key off the zone. Like, they allow more corner threes than the freaking New York Knicks. These guys just let the ball come to them, and they're just creating. There's no team basketball when you watch the Detroit Pistons. And knowing, like, their probability of even trying to get a young player like that is off the window over their future trades. There's no sweepstakes to even, anticipate any upside. Like, other than Cade Cunningham that has a massive offensive upside, he could have a highly more productive offensive showout after missing like the entire season last season after playing 12 games. Sir Thompson is stuck there. Marcus Cesar is stuck there. Isaiah Stewart is off position and stuck there. He should be more of a rotating piece, in my opinion. Jaden Ivey can't do anything defensively. He's a decent on-ball scoring threat, but that's about it. Marvin Bagley can barely shot block to save his life. Alec Burke is wasting his experience and potential. None of that is rubbing off on the young guys. James Wiseman is an absolute non-factor. Jalen Duren's wasting his potential. And you got Joe Harris just stinking up the joint, and the guy can't shoot like he was in Brooklyn. And Kevin Knox is just there to pick up unemployment checks, knowing that he will never check in a game. And Bojan Bogdanovic, that I had high expectations on being a rotating piece over for a contending team, can barely shoot. So they're just stuck over on probably in lottery limbo for the foreseeable future, knowing like their salary cap went over to pay most likely their coach. There's no system instructed with the team, and they're likely to have the worst losing record that you guys have seen since the 2012 Bobcats. So I would say just, you know, just sit and enjoy the failure. Because Pistons fans should be upset. They've been already publicly conveying their disgust with the effort on the court, the effort on the front office, knowing that they've been decades of like poor draft choices, front office decisions. After like what they picked up on Joe Harris, wasted Joe Harris's time there. Traded away their NBA championship winning point guard out of Chauncey Billups. Darko Milicic over Melo, Bosch, and, you know, of course, LeBron's going to go off of still Melo, Bosch, and D Wade. That's insane. Just jumping away, casting away Tobias Harris like that. And I think they were in the runnings of they traded away Donovan Mitchell over as a pick. So, yeah, the Pistons are just a banter franchise. And they are far away from the legacy because back, at least like, if we were at least 20 years ago, they were like making like consummate conference finals appearances. They had a reasonable roster. They had a legendary place to play. They had history even prior, winning back-to-back NBA titles with the Bad Boy Pistons and Isaiah Thomas, Dennis Rodman, Lambeer. They had history. They had legendary players, and now your best player over the past 15 years have been Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond and Reggie Jackson. It's that bad. I'm not saying that they were not bad players, but knowing you've only made like 2 postseason appearances since that time, and still barely made it around the first round, has been depressing. And Pistons fans should be upset about that. I'm gonna close it up here. Hopefully, all you guys have a great holiday. We'll have the stream for the Royal Rumble soon. And I think I know the one that you guys are going to see anyway, thanks it's already been voted over on the community tab. Thanks for watching the DSC show. Like, comment, subscribe for more. That's it for me.